Yeah, so thank you, Oscar. Before you starting from Cyprus, gentlemen, I will just send a few words from Karlstad here. I'm really glad and excited today. And just to correct you, Oscar, it's not an acquisition. We defined as merger. So as you see in the headline here, and it's been a very long night together with the gentlemen and an army of advisors, not only for this deal but for 200 deals as well. And I actually took the time that this deal was signed 06/38, so quite tight. But I'm glad to finally being here today with the three founders. It's been a quite long process, and it was very nice visiting Cyprus a while ago. A bit more sunny than Värmland, but regardless, I think from a business perspective, they have been showing increased confidence or we have shown increased confidence from our side regarding their business, and I'm super excited to have Easybrain within the Embracer Group. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Oleg, the CEO of Easybrain.
Thank you very much. First of all, it's an honor to be here to join Embracer family. Yeah, we've prepared small presentation. We'll talk you through and share our experience and results. So I'll take control over the slides and start with introduction. So my name is Oleg. I'm CEO and co-founder of Easybrain. Today I'm here with my partners and passing a word to them so they could say hi and present themselves.
Hello everyone. Peter Skoromnyi here, Chief Strategy Officer for Easybrain.
Hello everybody, my name is Matvey Timoshenko. I am Chief Operating Officer.
Yeah, so it's going to be three of us who will tell about Easybrain and also will answer questions in case needed. So as a company overview, Easybrain was founded as a puzzle and logic game developer back in mid-2016. Right now we have 15 titles in operation and employed 230 people across two offices. One is based in Limassol, the other one is in Minsk. And on the right of this slide, you can see evolvement of our installs, which is over 750 million up to date, together with icons of apps we released for worldwide. And on the bottom, it's our headcount broken down per years. So talking about Easybrain formula, first of all, we try to select right concept in brain puzzle category, where we see potential to be number one among direct competitors. And those apps should be free to download and play, so we could monetize it through ads, as ads is prime source of monetization of our business. Company is process-led, so everything we repeat, we try to standardize and optimize to make it as effective and efficient as possible. So for that reason, we have playbooks in most of areas, just for not to reinvent the wheel twice. Also, we developed a number of internal tools, such as BI and number of reusable models that support operation of these titles, and we can operate it through one change skill for the rest. And it all helps us to run business in data-driven approach. So all decisions are taken based on data. And that results in long-lasting titles where we have really strong retention and engagement rates. And that helps us to monetize it through ads. On this slide, you can see icons of the apps that we released for worldwide together with respective dates. And it should be said that we have quite unique and specific design of our apps, where it's sometimes even hard to say whether it's a game or an app. And that's done by purpose, so we could attract both gamers and non-gamers alike. Apart from a brain puzzle category, as a part of diversification, we also entered music app space and the coloring apps, where we have some subscription streams, but still majority comes from ads within the business. So that's kind of example of our universal design system. And as I said, it looks like an app. So newspaper layout, very plain. It looks simple, but it's a lot of hard work behind it. And we did many A/B tests to prove the right concept. So all the apps are natively understandable for the users and follow guidelines of human interface of both iOS and Google Play. As a case study, our Sudoku.com app. It took us 9 months to release it, to release first version following our internal standards and requirements. Over the years, we had more than 30 product A/B tests that helped us to increase our LTV significantly. We introduced live ops and constantly do product improvements. We also acquired Sudoku.com domain. That was done mainly for branding purposes, just to kind of distinguish our Sudoku from the rest, but also to convert some of web traffic into mobile. And despite this app is for years with us now, we still have a long backlog of ideas to try. And overall, we focused on increasing our portfolio of existing titles, and we do it through constant product updates, verified through A/B tests, content release, live ops, and testing new ideas and game modes. Not only developing and scaling our existing portfolio, but we also release new titles regularly, and sometimes it's titles with significantly different experience and mechanics, but sometimes it's also sequels to our existing titles. So in 2020, we released sequels to Sudoku and Nonogram, named Killer Sudoku and Nonogram Color. And that brings us different experience that deserves to be a separate app rather than just a mode within a game. But to launch new products and find new shining stars, we separated R&D team within the company that is supported by overall infrastructure and focused on testing new ideas and finding new shining stars. So speaking about technology, as I said, we have a number of reusable models internally developed, and that helps us to run the business. So these models include inter alia such as ad module, GDPR, ratings, and many other. All this work in such a way that we have so-called champions who are on the edge of changes and deeply understand the specific area, and they drive changes within the modules that are scaled for the rest of portfolio. And also our BI system that we see a single point of to answer all data needs. That's in-house tool that is being maintained and improved by a dedicated team of professionals. And it's all reconciled and fed through different sources of data, but answers so many questions for different teams. So major features include long-term LTV prediction, which is not an easy task in ads business. due to a number of things, but we use machine learning to assist us, so we get prompt and accurate predictions. Also, BI system helps our UA team to assess the performance, to assess effectiveness of waterfalls for Edmon, and present all necessary metrics in cohort view, and supports our business with a number of useful reports and dashboards. So speaking about user acquisition, that's a broad team that covers UA, marketing, and motion design. They operate producing high-end creatives and having available LTV predictions together with allocated organics. They are able to scale campaign, maintaining strong margins. And they constantly test new sources, new setup of campaigns, new ideas, etc., just to scale our portfolio as much as possible, but find an optimal point of spend where our efforts result in highest projected profits and current results. Looks like, yeah. So our Edmon team is split in two departments. One is kind of product Edmon team, and the other one is EdTech, which work closely with each other. And we manage our ads through internally developed module that helps us to increase efficiency, but also to get granular data for our prediction models. Within our apps, we have all major ad formats such as banners, interstitials, rewarded video. Right now, we are testing native ads. And we also run a number of A/B tests to constantly look for better placements or timing to improve experience and increase efficiency of ads. We also recently implemented pre-bid and post-bid requests outside of core waterfall. Talking about upcoming IDFA possible negative effect, that's a hot topic for ad-driven business. And first of all, we should say that there are a number of expectations that we as a team have for upcoming change. First of all, we expect that most of users won't opt in for IDFA access, and that will result in negative effect for targeting and attribution. What in that turn will lower CPMs significantly, and we expect that higher drop will occur within first months, and then some recovery will happen going forward. All that will affect UA spend and install volume to some extent. But in our conservative predictions, we factored these changes, and still our business is growing, is expected to grow. And that's because of a number of factors. So first of all, it's a sticky audience and daily active users that we accumulated as a business already. Then organic and paid search traffic that won't stop whatever happens, cross promotion, and also adaptive UA strategy that we're going to exercise. We're also working on potential attribution solutions, how to match it with our existing infrastructure. We will definitely launch new products and improve existing titles through live ops and product updates. So we expect business will grow both in terms of profits and revenue. Talking about the team, headquarters is based in Limassol, Cyprus. That's where we are right now. We have 50 professionals working here, while R&D center is located in Minsk, Belarus. And our plan is to grow both offices going forward, attracting best talents wherever we can, with aim to scale business, but not to dilute our internal culture. That's example of our organizational chart. So it looks complicated, but in fact it's quite flat. So our business is run by 3 of us together with head of departments who are supported by leads. And we intentionally keep it as flat as possible, so all the decisions are done fast and effective. So that's probably the last slide from my end, why we decided to merge with Embracer. And that's a number of reasons behind that. First of all, we see Embracer as unique opportunity to get access to a group of successful entrepreneurs with strong game dev experience and expertise. So we could share industry knowledge with them, and also given the track record of Embracer growth, both organic and inorganic, that makes us confident to exercise our ambitious targets for coming years, focusing on organic growth. Also, we really liked Lars as a leader, for sure, and that he exercised a combination of decentralized decision making together with opportunities for collaboration. And we believe that our business, Edmond-driven mobile business, will bring new facets to the industry as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it from my end. So I'm passing word to Lars, and we'll get back at the Q&A session.
Do you hear me? Great. So thank you very much, Oleg. You have built a fantastic business, and I'm a bit new into mobile, but you have really impressed me of the I call it machinery. It's a bit different from making premium games, but it's very impressive. And but you are true entrepreneurs, and being that, I think you fit very well into the overall Embracer Group. And I'm really glad that you chose to join Embracer. I know you had other alternatives, as all successful companies have, but you chose to become part of Embracer. And actually, talking about the transaction and the merger, I offered you a lot of cash, and you actually decided to take everything in shares. So you actually became the third biggest, or you will become, when the deal is closing, the third biggest jointly, the three of you, shareholder. That obviously gives further confidence in building something together. So looking at the actual transaction, the day one purchase price equals an enterprise value of $640 million. And it's all paid on newly issued Embracer B shares at the VWAP 20 price, 197.57, sorry. And then furthermore, we have a 6 years alignment through an earnout of up to $125 million. And that is targeting EBIT targets and thresholds year 3 and year 6. And in order to achieve the full additional consideration, let's call it additional consideration rather than earnout, you actually need to exceed a cumulative EBIT of more than $600 million over 6 years. You will become the 8th vertical, looking at the post-deal corporate structure. The holding company has directly been acquired from a Swedish entity owned by Embracer. And as you all saw in the presentation, you had a very impressive growth the past years. And looking at your IFRS numbers for 2019, you had a revenue of $111 million and an EBIT of $17 million. Last year, the calendar year 2020, you had $210 million in revenues with $70 million in EBIT. And just a few closing remarks. Again, you will become the 8th operating group within Embracer. And I'm very confident you have the right setup to become operating group. We have seen a very good structure in your processes, also from accounting wise. Many of you have, including you, Oleg, have background in the Big Four accounting firms. So you are very well structured as a company. That also have been impressing us during the due diligence process. So we are confident you are able to report according to our standards. Yeah, and your business is a process-driven business with a repeatable success. You had a few releases during the process we had with you, and those games actually have start performing very well. And you have a scalable overhead and again a very well functioning corporate structure. And you know what is the golden thing in many or most mobile games companies is obviously a leading capability within user acquisition and a general technology. Your business has a very strong, or I don't like to use the word very, but you have a strong free cash flow conversion from your EBIT. And you have clearly been stating that you obviously will become part of the group and we will work together somehow, but you will be focusing on building organically your business further rather than a bit opposite to other verticals we have doing M&A. So you will be very core focusing, and I have all the respect for that. And we have many other operating groups that for sure spend a lot of more time on M&A. I think we need to be clear that there is a change. There is always changes coming to businesses, and you touched on this IDFA change that will occur soon, and that will impact the business. But you also proven that you have a conservative view on this, and that is included in the forecasts. And to conclude, again, you decided to, while I offered you cash and a lot of cash, you decided to take all $765 million in all equity. So very welcome to the group. We are now colleagues.
Thank you very much. So many good words on our side. So wanted to say thank you, and we put a lot of trust in Embracer, and just happy to be part of the family.
Thank you. We have Oscar Erixon, which is the equity research analyst from Carnegie, on this call, and I'm sure he has questions in order to us. So I will leave over to you, Oscar, to fire off some questions to us.
Thank you, Lars. I'll start with a few questions from myself, and then also go through questions from the audience listening in. I believe you can ask questions in the webcast details should be in the press release, in the invitation. But I'll start with a few questions from myself to Oleg about the business. First of all, I mean, it's very obvious here that you have been able to recreate your success with new titles. Is there any one thing that you would point out that you perhaps do a bit differently to competition and peers?
Well, it's really hard to point out just one thing. Maybe I would say data-driven approach is core, but our business is a combination of efforts from different departments, and we try to run extra mile in each department. So having extra effort for 10%, cumulative effect is way more. So yeah, we just try to do our best in all we can. So it's either product development, product design, UA, admon, etc. We just do the best, and the cumulative effect gives us advantage to secure #1 position and enjoy organics there. So yeah, it's a combination of factors.
Great. And can you also talk a little bit about the genres that you focus on? Why you focus on those genres? Have you always been in those genres? And what are the dynamics sort of that you try to use in those genres?
Yeah, Peter, maybe you want to take this?
Yeah, we are primarily focused on creating logic puzzle games. We love this category because it's popular among gamers and non-gamers alike. And many titles in this category show high retention numbers. So we're about creating titles with a long shelf life and a long usage, long lifetime. And we also tried some secondary categories, namely coloring space and music space. But a long-term focus for us is logic puzzle games space.
Excellent. And also, if you could discuss the sort of key titles that you have, and perhaps some numbers on concentration of sales between the key titles, if possible.
Yeah, it's a number of titles. We have Sudoku.com, Nonogram, Jigsaw Puzzles, Blokodoku. We have some apps that earn less or has lower retention rates, but yeah, overall we try to operate the business in a manner where we work with titles where we see potential to be #1. And being #1, we try to find optimal spend in time where we maximize our projected profits and current returns. So despite the fact that some apps may be not the most revenue generating, they still be leaders among their competitors.
Got it. And let's move on to some questions from the audience here. Tom Singlehurst with the first and second question, actually. First, congrats on the deal. Looks like a great structure for both sides. Would be interested in the Easybrain team's view on the risk around IDFA. Will this make customer acquisition more challenging or expensive? And I mean, you discussed this quite a bit, which is good. But if you could perhaps delve a little bit deeper and discuss the dynamics, how you think it will impact growth, how you think it will impact margins, and how sort of long-term the effect will be.
Oleg, you don't have to answer all questions. It's really what you feel confident with. Analysts could ask any questions. So.
Sure. Yeah, but just some high-level comments on this is, as I said, given that most of users won't opt in for IDFA access, this will ultimately hit, at least for the first time, attribution exercise and targeting campaigns. While we see targeting campaigns mostly around in-app business rather than ad-driven business, where it's more of mass user acquisition, it will result in lowering CPMs and lowering LTVs ultimately. So the thing is that it's really hard to predict what will happen with CPIs, but we expect that install volumes will decrease to a certain level until the industry will figure out how to work in new reality.
Great. And I suspect this is something that you've been working on for, over a year probably. Is that right? What steps have you sort of taken with the marketing mix and how is the industry sort of coming to terms with these changes?
Yeah, right now we are working on a number of attribution solutions that will be incorporated in our existing infrastructure. But it's really complicated, and I think no one really could say exact impact. So we decided to take safe position and incorporated conservative approach in our forecast.
Understood. We have another question from the web here from Veiko Silvasti. How is the revenue distributed through the game portfolio? Is there one or two large games that bring in a majority of revenue, or is it more diversified?
I would say it's more diversified. Yeah, so it's as I said, we don't put aim for a game to earn certain amount irrespective of position in ranks and etc. We put aim to be number one, where we will enjoy organic downloads, we will able to scale user acquisition and still safeguard ourselves from direct competitors. So it really depends on niche, and that results in well spread revenue numbers across portfolio.
Understood. Great. We have another question from Tom Singlehurst. Why is Easybrain standing alone rather than being integrated with DECA? Surely DECA would benefit from access to Easybrain's machinery. I think this is a question for both Lars and for Oleg and his team. I'll let you go first, perhaps Lars, and then Oleg, perhaps as well.
There is nothing to say that companies, they do cooperate across the group, and obviously DECA and Ken has been very helpful and been part of the due diligence and understanding the business in a good way. At the same time, Oleg and the founders are very strong entrepreneurs, and they built a very sizable business, and they have a clear vision how they want to take it further. And I think they make up a perfect platform to create their own operating group. It doesn't limit opportunities about potential synergies in the future. But I think also Easybrain will be very clear what they would like to do and not to do. And sometimes you can appreciate that. So I don't think you should see too much into that. Ken and DECA are having their own strategy and forming that strategy within that vertical, and I'm sure you will hear a lot about them in the future as well, and I'm sure you will see a lot of opportunities between the groups. I don't know, Oleg, if you have anything more to add to that.
No, you pretty much covered all. I just wanted to add that during due diligence we met Ken, and I'm really impressed with DECA business. So we are positive that there will be some soft synergies, And yeah, it's just a matter of time when we will find the optimal setup for those.
So, Oscar, thank you, Oleg. There might be a few more questions for Easybrain, but actually, right before this conference call, we had a press release summarizing all the 3 deals this morning. So I would like to take you through a presentation of the 3 deals, what they mean more financially and for the group. And then I would suggest that Oscar, perhaps you can follow up with a bit more questions on that, and potentially more questions for Easybrain. Does this sound okay?
Sounds good to me.
The only thing, I'm still controlling the slides, so yeah, someone took over. Okay.
So we put together a presentation here that are summarizing the 3 transactions from this morning. So we made 3 transformative transactions. First, at 6 o'clock, or a bit over 6 o'clock, we had the Gearbox Entertainment. And we have a conference call later on at 1:30 Swedish time with the management and led by Randy. And then we had the acquisition of Aspire, also based in Texas. And then finally, obviously, Easybrain that we just got introduced to here. So looking at the combined group post closing of these transactions. So the transactions itself, they will have several approvals for closing, and that could take up to 3 months, but it varies of each company. So counting the number of studios, we will post-closing have 63 internal development studios across the group, and furthermore 73 external studios. And the number of IPs are close now to 250. And looking at the game development projects, we will be up to 193 games under development. Engaging more than 4,200 internal developers, and furthermore 1,400 external developers. And this is not counting for the non-developers across the group. And I would like to come back to the entrepreneurship and the legacies of the companies we are bringing together within Embracer. And many of these companies I've been doing business with in many years, one being Aspire, that were founded, for example, 1996. And obviously Gearbox, founded 1999. I think the overall Embracer heritage is a fantastic part of the industry. Easybrain being more new into this map, but I'm sure you will be here for many years to come. I think this slide shows the take on Embracer, founded by entrepreneurs and run by entrepreneurs. This is a clear differentiator, obviously, for Embracer compared to many of our peers. And here is the organization overview post-transaction. So we will continue, obviously, running this decentralized structure, and Easybrain becoming the 8th operating unit, Gearbox becoming the 7th, and Aspire becoming the largest acquisition within North America at Saber Interactive. So looking at the combined numbers from this morning. So the aggregated day one purchase price for the transaction was approximately 9.2 billion SEK on a cash and debt-free basis. Of that, approximately 2 billion will be paid in cash, and furthermore, 7.2 billion will be paid with newly issued Embracer shares. And then we have additional considerations, and a maximum additional consideration amounting up to 12.7 billion, which is subject to fulfillment of agreed milestones, both operational and financial. Operation could be, for example, to release a certain number of games or IPs, or that certain people or people staying on board. And financial targets is quite natural that in general are target relating to the similar accounting as operational EBIT. In Gearbox, for example, we have adjusted EBITDA, which is more a US GAAP based profit level. And those additional considerations are up to, well, in the case of Easybrain, it's 6 years. With Gearbox, it's 6 years, and with Aspire, it's up to 7 years. Of this maximum, the maximum additional consideration paid in cash is 6.7 billion, and another approximately 6 billion in Embracer shares. And those are given as of the same volume weighted average price 20 days prior to signing, meaning as of yesterday. So to earn the aggregated maximum total consideration of the three transactions that is close to 22 billion SEK, the acquired businesses must generate an accumulated operational EBIT in excess of 23 billion over the next 6 to 7 years. We also put out a forecast in terms of sales and operational EBIT for the next financial years. And this is based on transactions closing latest 1st of April. Obviously, that date could vary. It could be a bit later, it could be a bit earlier. So we need to come back to that. So the estimated net sales from the three businesses combined during next financial years are estimated to be in a range from 3.6 billion SEK to 4.6 billion SEK. And estimated operational EBIT from the three businesses combined are estimated to be between 1 and 1.5 billion SEK. So just to revisit our capital structure. So our capital allocation strategy is essential for continued growth. We reiterate the ambition to maintain a strong balance sheet and strives to maintain a net cash position to maintain a maximum strategic flexibility. For the right inorganic growth opportunity, the financial leverage could temporarily exceed 1 times operational EBIT to net debt, where operational EBIT is measured as management expectations for the coming 12 months. We still have a solid net cash position after closing of these deals. And we estimate at the time of closing the deals that cash at hand and available credit facilities are approximately 10 billion SEK. So we still have a considerable amount of available funds for further acquisitions or organic growth investments into our businesses. So with that said, Oscar, I don't know if you have any further questions on this.
Thank you, Lars. I have a lot of questions, as I'm sure you can imagine. And I guess I'll come back to some questions again regarding the previous discussions here with Easybrain. But for now, just a few questions on this slide package. I mean, first of all, 3 major acquisitions today. How long have these M&A discussions been ongoing? And can you discuss also a bit about the competitive situation, given that these are, I mean, quite interesting companies, major companies, also with some very interesting IPs, thinking both about, well, really about all the 3 acquisitions. Thank you.
I think I would like to forward that questions to the companies, and I think Aspire and Gearbox should answer those questions separately. But why don't we forward that question to Oleg? Why did you choose Embracer, and was there a competitive process, and how long have that been ongoing?
Yeah, so over the last few years, we were getting a lot of interest from leading companies within the industry, and we knew that at some point Easybrain will grow to the stage where it may become part of something bigger. And I'm not sure about exact timing. When we first spoke to Lars, it was probably October when we met virtually. But the deal itself was so quick, resulted in a couple of sleepless nights, including the last one. But yeah, it was very quick, but we spoke same language. We were focused to achieve result, and we were very transparent throughout the deal. So as a competitive advantage, as I said, we really like what is built within Embracer, a group of entrepreneurs. It's very well balanced decision making, decentralized, and available opportunities to leverage group help, and all in combination made us believe that that's the company we should be part of. That's the reason why we decided to put all in shares. We see it as a merger, as something where our efforts will significantly contribute to the group, and we will grow together long term.
Because you had some other companies around interested at the time, I remember.
Yeah. And decision making was based on number of factors. So price was not the only factor. It was number of other factors, and combination of those made us believe that Embracer is way to go.
One of the key factors was that we saw a CEO who is also an entrepreneur and who is around day and night and is available. So that was very important for us.
Yeah, because we signed the letter of intent, but that was in December, wasn't it? I was visiting you in Cyprus.
Yeah, it was a strong move as well. So Lars flew over to Cyprus just to sit and talk, despite all these COVID bans and travel and restrictions. And he was very open, just sharing his vision, and that again, it was critical meeting for us at that moment.
So I think from our standpoint, we've been running a quite, not from our perspective, not very speedy, but I think a truly sort of due diligence process with Baker McKenzie and EY, and engaging with also internal companies, and the due diligence have come out very good, I would say. And then there's been now the last week quite intensive SPA discussions, but I think it's been discussions in good faith. It's been tough sometimes, but I think that is good for the future, and I'm confident we have made the right decision anyhow.
And a follow-up here. It's very clear from what you said and from the presentation slides that you are focusing mainly on the organic side. Could you discuss a little bit about the organic growth prospects that you have, and also why you perhaps are not interested in M&A in this first stage, at least?
Yeah, it's a good question, because we have some experience working with external studios, and that's a positive experience. And at a certain point of time, we positioned ourselves as boutique publisher, where we select companies to work with, but controlling growth process and culture, etc. In our view, just makes us more effective. And we do what we know and how we know to do it, and that results in great results. So we could start doing M&A, but we're afraid it will defocus our main efforts, and it's just we should apply our efforts to biggest opportunities. And right now we see it's in in-house growth.
Great, and you also mentioned, sharing industry knowledge as a key point for joining the group. Is that the whole group you are referring to, with the more wide sort of footprint, PC, console, and mobile, or have you looked more at DECA and what they do? If you could discuss that just briefly, thank you.
In our understanding, it's a whole group, and we will find soft synergies and good ideas to share, and good experience to share. Just hard to say at this stage what will be better. And DECA definitely is obvious choice, but other companies definitely will share the expertise as well.
Perfect. We have another question from the web here, from Fredrik Olsson. Hi, and congrats to both you at Easybrain and Embracer. 2 quick questions. Firstly, what is your target audience in terms of gender, age group, and can you give some color on what the ARPU, average revenue per user, is? Let's start with that question perhaps, and I'll come back with the second one.
I'm sorry, was it ARPDAU?
It was ARPU.
I don't think we should disclose these numbers at this call. As for the target audience, I'll pass to Peter.
We have a wide spread audience, starting from, let's say, 20 years old people and to very senior ones. But it's peaking somewhere at 35 years. And for most of the products, female users dominate the audience.
Very clear. Thank you. And the second question, could you specify on the performance over the course of the pandemic in terms of ARPU, margins, as well as net inflows? So, no absolute numbers, but perhaps just the dynamics of how it has moved in Q1, Q2, and then in the second half of the year, what you see perhaps at the start of this year, if we're allowed by Lars to discuss that.
Yeah. Don't disclose anything, Oleg, that you think is, that gives your competitor too much, or to make the analyst too bullish. I think we're giving them a forecast.
Yeah, it's just the thing that what we saw during the start of pandemic. I'm sure that's pretty much what all industry players experience. Is just a huge additional inventory in user acquisition. So keeping the same CPIs or even lowering, we were able to acquire more users, and it was just so significant change. But then also we saw some negative effect on CPMs because the businesses were getting used to new reality. But since then, I think we stabilized in terms of user acquisition and monetization, and overall COVID is now just new normal. So we don't really, we see some differences in terms of seasonality and year end compared to prior years, and we believe it's because of new style of living, and but it's just new normal, so we don't expect that situation will significantly change in the near future.
Oscar, I think the time is now 2 minutes to 10, and perhaps we could have a last question from all, but I would like to just clarify one thing. We have given a financial forecast for the next financial year today, and these earnout targets ranging, if you read the press releases, is not a financial forecast. It's the agreed additional consideration or earnouts with the sellers of the companies. And I think that is important to point out. Obviously, there is sometimes a low case and a high case. So with that said, Oscar, do you have any final questions for us today?
No, I think that's it from me and from the web, actually. So I think I'll leave it over to you for some closing remarks. We'll discuss the other acquisitions, I guess, a bit later.
Yes. So, well, for saying thank you, I would like to say that we have our quarterly reporting on February 18 coming up. But today we have another conference call at 12 o'clock for Aspire, and at 1:30 European time we have Gearbox. With that said, I would like to again welcome you to the group, and thank you very much for listening in. And thank you, Oscar.